guys, welcome to my channel. It's my first YouTube video, and as you can see, I'm a little bit nervous. I've been trying to, well, not trying, but wanting to make a YouTube channel. Oh my god, Japan, y'all, things are everywhere. But I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel for a long time, and I really just never bothered to it. I bought all the equipment, the cameras, the lights, everything, and I just never bothered. So since it's holidays and I've got a bit of time, I thought, let's give it a go. So what do I do in Japan? Well, just like many foreigners that come to Japan, you become an English teacher. No, but it's a really cool job. And in this video, since it's my first video, and it's probably a lot of what you guys are thinking who may be watching this, trying to think, should I work in Japan? Should I not? Should I go and work in holiday? Or should I just visit? This video is just going to kind of help you to understand like what you will be doing as an English teacher if you choose to go down that path, and 5 tips on how it can make you better. Let me give you 5 tips on how you can make it as an English teacher in Japan. Okay, so there are basically 2 types of contracts that you can get in Japan as an English teacher. One is your standard type of contract that you probably get in your own country. I'm not too sure. I know in Australia, basically you're either a employee or a self-employed contractor. Pretty much the same in Japan. Now, how that works in Japan is 2 ways. First way, employee contract. Now, basically what that means is that you are an employee of the company, right? But nothing very special about that. But what it means is that you don't need to worry about your taxes, your pension, or for Australian superannuation. The company will look after your taxes. They'll look after a percentage of your superannuation or your pension. They will pay for your residence tax if you request it, I believe. And also you'll get things like unemployment insurance and health insurance, etc., which is, fantastic if you're planning to stay here for a long time, or like me, if you have kids. It works out really well. The second option is the contractor, which, to be honest, a lot of English schools prefer you to be on that contract, and here's why. Many schools prefer you to be on a contract-based system, solely because, look, the truth is that English teachers are like a revolving door in Japan, okay? Some last 6 months, some last 1 year. All contracts are pretty much written for 1-year basis. But it basically means that they don't need to worry about your health insurance, they don't need to worry about your pension, they don't need to worry about your taxes. You have to do all that for yourself. Now, if you speak Japanese and can write Japanese, that's awesome. You should go on that contract, especially if you're only here on a working holiday or something like that. But if you don't speak Japanese and you don't write or can read in Japanese, it'll make life difficult when you do have to fill out the mountains of paperwork to pay your taxes and pay your pension. Okay, it is really difficult. I did that on my first year and I was like, oh hell no, not again. I'll never do that again. But some people really prefer it, especially I've met so many teachers who are just here for 1 year or 2 years and they really love it. And the reason why they love it is because more money. Yes, you will get paid more money as a contractor in many companies, okay? And I think a lot of people do prefer that. One particular company, which I won't mention names, they will basically give you a pretty hefty bonus for you to sign as a contractor and not ask for the employee position. With the employee position, as I said, it's kind of just more of a safety net, and if you do have kids or you're planning to live in Japan, like I call Japan my home now, I often go down that route of trying to pursue the employee position to have the taxes done, to have the pension superannuation done, and to have the health insurance, and also to make sure you do get any type of unemployment insurance in case. I've never had to use it, but it's there just in case. So that's number 5, contract types. Definitely make sure you check it out before you sign up. All right, number 4 is the type of schools that are available for you to work in. So the most common is Eikaiwa. Eikaiwa is basically a school that runs from the afternoon, generally around 2 p.m. until about 9 p.m. They take advantage of that so that kids who have finished school can go and do their English lessons that their parents make them do. A lot of them don't like it. And the next is so that the office worker or housewife, etc., has a chance to come after their activities. And generally, lessons run for about 45 minutes, depending on the school. 45 minutes to 55 minutes. I've seen some that go for like an hour and 30 minutes, depending on the curriculum, etc., etc., etc. But Eikaiwa is generally the first stepping stone to becoming an English teacher in Japan. It's quite common. It's the biggest English school industry, I believe, in Japan, I think. So yeah, Eikaiwa is going to probably be your first choice, and they have recruiters for multiple big companies here in Japan, all around the world. I know that there's in Australia and America, Canada, so that probably will be your first step. Next most common is ALT, Assistant Language Teacher. In this job, you basically are teaching at a high school, sometimes primary school, etc. If you're lucky, also a university. And that's basically all you are. You are a assistant teacher to the Japanese teacher, the head teacher, and your primary job is to teach English in certain blocks. It does require lots of moving. It's definitely not something I wanted to do. I've never done it, so I don't really know too much about it, but I have heard a lot. Some people love it, some people hate it. Most of the time, the people that say they hate it is solely because there's lots of holidays, but you don't get paid for it. So the introduction offer of money seems quite high, but you have to kind of remember that you don't get paid for holidays, and ALTs have quite a decent amount of holidays. So, that's definitely something you can also check into. If you don't mind having unpaid holidays for a while, then yeah, it might work for you. But it definitely wasn't my cup of tea. So yeah, that's the ALT position. I mean, you guys can read up about it on the internet, etc. As I said, I've never done it, so I won't talk too much about it. It's just another option, ALT. Next is a kindergarten teacher. It's what I do. Woo! Look, it's really fun. Teaching kindergartners, it's really cool, to be honest. Lots of schools operate in a different way, but basically they all kind of run on the same schedule. So, you get really decent holidays, which you do get paid for. There's like 2 weeks, 2 weeks holidays, which started a couple of days ago, and that'll end in like January, not mid-January, probably first, second week of January, depending on the school. But you do get paid, which is awesome. And I think that the treatment of life, like working life, is a lot better than an Eikaiwa teacher or an ALT. And as whether you're on a contract or an employee, as a kindergarten teacher or an international kindergarten teacher, you get paid for holidays. That's even if you're on the contract base, which I talked about in the previous segment. So that's a really good option, but it's kind of something that people get that position after they've been here for a year or a couple of years and they've had the experience in a Eikaiwa or ALT or a Juku. Juku is the next one I'll get to, but again, Juku is more to do with the Japanese style of teaching. So, but we'll get to Juku. But yeah, as an international kindergarten teacher, your job is basically from 8:30 to 2:30. And you're just teaching these awesome little kids who like running around making noise and just doing kid stuff. So it can be really fun. I'm a dad, so I'm used to it. Some people find it a bit daunting and a bit troublesome, but actually it's, once you get your gears going, it's a really good gig. So, if that's something that you can apply for, if that's something that you are interested in, rather than, teaching office workers or, the elderly, or teenagers, that might be a route you want to go down. And there's nothing wrong about Eikaiwa style teaching. It was really fun. I did it. I did it for the first year, and I thought, it's good, but I wanted to get a bit more in depth with teaching in Japan, considering my background. And lastly is Juku, which I did mention before. Juku is basically an after-school program. kids will learn things, math, science, I believe in some history. If they're doing English, it's going to be more like an Aiken style TOEFL. The parents send kids to JUCOs so that they can get into a higher class. I don't like using that word. Let's say a better primary school or a better high school. So they send their kids to JUCO. You would not believe the amount of study kids do in this country. It's definitely not something I even thought about. I've taught 5-year-olds who go to international kindergarten and then daycare after that, and then from daycare they go to JUCO to learn Aiken so they can pass the Aiken test. So as a JUCO teacher, especially if you're doing the English part of it, be prepared to do things like Aiken teaching, TOEFL, all the certificate kind of English teaching that is required. That's a JUCO. It's basically there to cram kids' brains with knowledge. Another word they use for it is cram school. So yeah, that's the other option. Now, there are other English teaching options in Japan. Those are just, not the only ones. They're just the main ones that I've come across and the people I've met who do that job. So, it really just depends what you want to do, with your working life in Japan, I guess. So yeah, that was the 4. This one I'm gonna keep nice and short. Be prepared to fail. Look, English teaching is not for everyone. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people just do it. I have met many teachers in this country who have, in their first 3 months, said, I love this job, I love it. And by their 4th or 5th month, they're like, I hate this place, you Japanese people are so racist. Why do Japanese people treat foreigners like this? Well, it's not that case. Basically, you either hate it or you love it. I mean, that's it. I failed in my first year because I had the attitude of, but in Australia, they treat you different. They treat you like this, and you get this, and you get that. You gotta forget that mentality. It's gone. It's out the window. I'm not saying that English schools treat foreigners any different to Japanese workers. It's not the case. I see a lot of complaints on websites like Glassdoor and Google Review and stuff like that. But look, most of the time it's generally just the teachers couldn't hack it, so they bounced. It happened to me. It will happen to many of you. It might not happen to any of you that watch this, because you maybe come from a teaching background and you really love it. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Just be prepared to fail, and if you do fail, well, get up and try find another one. This one kind of ties into number 3. Avoid toxic coworkers. Why do I say that? Well, it's as simple as this. If you have to work with someone that absolutely hates their job every day and just keeps filling your happy mind about being an English teacher with how much this company sucks and how much this company treats this person and how much they do this and how much they don't do for that, you just basically need to stay away from it. It's not healthy in Japan because in Japan, especially in the office or in the work environment, it's all about respect. Whether you don't like someone or don't like the way things are being done, us foreigners, we kind of have a tendency to say what's on our mind, to speak what we believe is to be correct. Look, my best advice is stay away from toxic coworkers. Even if you find something that you don't like in your work, you will have a supervisor or manager or someone that you can just basically go and say, hey, I'm hearing this, or I don't like this. Is there something that you can do, or can I get further training to improve myself, or some constructive feedback? that sort of attitude will go a much further way than just simply complaining to the next person that comes in line. I mean, you got to remember, especially for the people who hated working for their previous company or even their current employer. You know, you're going to have a fresh batch of English teachers almost every 6 months, you know, in some schools. And you fill in their head with, you know, how bad this place is when they've probably just spent, you know, the last 6 months being excited to come to Japan and, you know, working their visa and getting everything prepared, and here they are, you know, and they walk into their work and start hearing about how much you hate it. Well, if you hate it, go. I mean, I've done that before. I hated one of my previous jobs and I just left. You know, I did it the right way. I left, and you know, it's just something you gotta do. Stay away from toxic coworkers. I mean, that's even good advice, even in your own country, right? I mean, every workplace has someone that they're going to say they hate this company so much, or they hate their boss, or blah 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 blah. Right? It happens everywhere. But in Japan, it's, you know, it goes a bit further than that, and you know, I won't go too much into detail about it. But one of my advice to you is just avoid toxic coworkers, because I fell into the trap of becoming a toxic coworker myself from listening to all the garbage that was going on inside of the office. So luckily, we all have a chance to change, and I've done that, and I think it's worked out a lot better for me now, since I've kind of stepped away from that mentality and all that jazz. And finally, number one, just enjoy it, guys. Like, you know, it's gonna have its ups and downs being an English teacher. You're gonna love it, you're gonna hate it, you're going to meet awesome people, you're gonna meet bad people. I mean, that's just part of life and work culture. But since you're in another country and working, you know, in possibly a job that you've never done or an industry that you've never been part of, you know, just enjoy it. Like, run with the flow. You're gonna meet some really awesome people, from kids to adults. You know, the amount of different types of people I've met and got to teach has been absolutely incredible. I've had a lot of insight. I've had a lot of knowledge given to me, lots of new experiences, and you know, lots of awesome stories from, you know, as 7-year-old kid who his parents push him to the point where he wants to break, and you're kind of like there as this semi-mentor, you know, to give him an edge and to keep going, to CEOs who tell you about their questionable parties, their drinking parties. So, you know, no matter how bad it gets or how awesome it gets, just enjoy it, you know. Run with it, have fun with it, because for the amount of work that we do as English teachers, honestly, it's well worth the money we get paid. So, you know, enjoy it. Go to work every day with a smile, and you know, be happy that you are in this beautiful country, that every single step you take can be a new and fascinating day. Okay, that was my 5 tips. I hope it helped. Look, yeah, I hope it helped. So thanks for watching my first video. I don't script any of my videos. I'm actually not going to, even future videos. I just don't believe in scripting. It could be the biggest downfall I make, or it could just be something that I just don't like doing. I like to kind of just speak, you know, speak to my audience as me, not as you know, a dude using Grammarly to write down on a piece of paper and read that off. So this is my first video. I made it solely because, you know, from my perspective of being an English teacher in Japan for 5 years. The next video, and probably future videos I'm going to try and make, are going to be about travel, vlogging, etc. So, you know, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate. It is the internet. Hopefully I get a bit of love. Thank you for watching. I hope it was a bit helpful to you. Drop a comment if you want to tell me anything or give me advice. You know, constructive feedback is key in this country. So thanks, guys. Subscribe if you want. That's what all YouTubers say these days. Anyway, peace. Thank you for watching.